Good Tuesday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's wake up the football gods this morning. This is now a short week for the Dallas Cowboys where they're going to have to rearrange things. We know that Kellen Moore is supposed to be interviewing with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know some Cowboy fans are saying, please take him, please take him. Regardless, on this short week, because now that we're playing on Saturday, that means everything has to move up. Normally, Saturday is a travel day. Well, Saturday is going to be a game day. So the Cowboys are probably going to be traveling Friday evening, which means then the practice on Friday, which is a recovery day, normally will have to be kind of a walkthrough. And that'll be a little less time to get ready for the Philadelphia Eagles. For the Philadelphia Eagles, they have 12 players that were put on the COVID list who technically could be back because of the 5-day window, Monday being the first day, Friday being the last. But the Eagles may look at this and say, here's an opportunity for us to, they're not quite ready to come off the list, to go ahead and rest their veterans without saying they're resting their veterans to get ready for the playoffs. Cowboys-wise, we have a lot to play for still, because unfortunately the biggest thing that we lost in losing that game to the Cardinals is the ability to be able to play at home for all except for maybe one game. Now, unless we are playing the non-division winners, which could be the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Cardinals, if we end up playing Tampa Bay, it would be in Tampa Bay. If we end up playing the Rams, if they win, it would be in L.A. If we play the Packers, it would be in Green Bay. That, my friends, hurts the Dallas Cowboys because we usually play better at home than we do on the road, especially in our offense. But it is what it is. It's the bed that we have to lie in. I guess I shouldn't complain the fact that we're possibly going to double the amount of wins that we had last year. Now, here's where I know the haters and the trolls and everything else are going to say, you're just salty. You just admit it. It's all Dak Prescott, man. Stop making excuses. But I've got to say, Jerry Jones was asked a few minutes ago on 105 The Fan about the officiating and whether or not there should be full-time referees. And he says he doesn't see support for that. Well, here's my thing. He said, and let me read the quote from him. Well, you just don't have enough support to have the conclusion that a full-time would remedy these issues. That's what we're complaining about. There's nothing that says a full-time official will do it better than a part-time official. The quality of the people that you get with the part-time officials are outstanding. They are outstanding. And these are some of the most accomplished people in their professions. And if you will, in the country, there are. So I've never been convinced, me personally, that a part-time official that's spending some of his time engineering would be better than a full-time official. We're talking about 17 games, the playoffs. Nothing's convinced me that that there would be any kind of an advantage. Matter of fact, you might have less quality. Well, I'm going to beg to differ on that, Jerry. Because my thing is you may be a great judge. You may be a great engineer, but that doesn't mean you're a great referee. The thing that made you great about being an engineer, it wasn't like they said you're a part-time engineer. You only do this part of the time. You're only a part-time judge. We only have you doing this, 17 weeks a year. You went to school to be a judge. You had to become a lawyer. You had to be nominated to say you are good enough to be a judge. To become an engineer, you got to go to school. You got to get that degree. You have that as your regular job. And you have to be the best. So you're the best engineer out there. Doesn't mean you don't miss things. And to me, that's bullshit. Maybe it's just you don't want to pay them as a full-time position. But I dare say part of the problem is because they have something else to fall back on, There's no repercussions whatsoever. Oh, okay. I can screw the Cowboys, a team I hate. What happens? Do I get fined? No. Do I lose my job? No. Nothing. Nothing. They're not held accountable. At least if this is my profession, my job, my livelihood, I got to keep my job to keep food on the table, because I don't know where you go from being an NFL official to where that is. What's the takeaway from there? That you get disgraced because you're a terrible referee. What's now your thing? That means you're going to make sure that you are the best referee, not engineer, not attorney. That this is my thing, that we watch film over and over and over again. We go to school. We go to training in the off season, because I'm trying to understand when I see crap like this. Because let me see if I can blow this up a little bit more. This was on. Oh, I didn't mean to turn it sideways. Boom. Let's see. There we go. This is interesting right here, because let me move the camera. We got all these holding calls against the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm not saying that they weren't holding calls per se. I don't know if you can see this, but I call this when they were in the end zone. Because, see, this is one of those things that on third down, here it is, the referee is right here. Right here. There he is. He's watching the quarterback. Here's DeMarcus Lawrence. And as you can see, DeMarcus Lawrence is going after Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray escapes, makes a pass, they get a first down. You see this arm? You see this arm literally stretched, extended, grabbing onto the shoulder pads and holding him. Not only should that be a hold, not should that only be a hold, which is a 10-yard penalty, but because it's, on the 11-yard line, it would be half the distance. They don't make the first down. But if you look at the position where Kyler Murray is, he's in the end zone. And when there's a penalty in the end zone, it is a safety. And not only that, if it's a safety, that means it's a free kick for the Cardinals to kick to the Dallas Cowboys without a tee. You don't think that call is not a game changer? That this official right here missed that call? You don't think that that's a difference? Okay. There's a sequence of events. This whole game was literally atrocious, because we've gotten everybody's killing our coach because he used timeouts. Because at this point, there was 2 minutes and some odd seconds left. And this was ruled tackled in bounds, in which case the clock kept running. His knees never touched the ground. His hand touched out of bounds first. He was out of bounds. The clock should have stopped right here, in which case we don't use the timeout. We don't use the timeout that we could have used to review this call. Because this, my friends,
which the crowd saw on the board.
Boom. Look at that. He never touches the ground. That ball's moving.
And thought it was a fumble.
That ball is out. Randy Gregory gets him. He's still up. His knees haven't touched. Right there. Look at this. And the funny thing was, I actually had somebody last night say, oh, his forearm's down. His forearm's not down. That ball is moving right now. Look at it. Okay? From right here, okay, you see, here's DeMarcus Lawrence. His hand is now on the ball. The ball is slipping out of his hands. Look at that. The ball is moving right now. His hand is not even on the ground. And you see the ball rotate? The ball's right here. Watch the ball's laces come out at you. You see that? That ball has done a 180. Look at that. How is that? Look. And I'm just doing this at home off of the Twitter. Look at that. And the thing that's crazy about all this is, and Jerry, you get screwed, and I'm still trying to understand how it is that you're okay with it. Because what's crazy is this is supposed to be stuff that's supposed to be able to be reviewed by the people upstairs and also the people in New York to make sure that we get this stuff right. Clearly. How is that blown dead? How is that blown dead and the action is still going on in the field? That's not where you have a pileup of people and we blow the whistle because, okay, we don't want people. These are bodies still flying around in the air at crunch time in a game. And, you know, look at that. Oh, God. So we get called for holding. We literally have a guy holding DeMarcus Lawrence from behind with his arm extended in the end zone with the official literally 5 feet away, and they don't see it. To me, you're a full-time official. That should be your job. You're fired. But, of course, it's not. And then what you get is, instead of anybody really looking at, you know, the situation and saying, Cowboys got screwed on that one. They get hosed. Yeah, Cowboys just suck. They're chokers. Dudes. Some bullshit. All right, so Rex Ryan supposedly breaks down what's wrong with the Cowboys offense. And let's go to that, hear what they've got to say.
That's happening with this offense. Yeah. Tony Pollard not getting enough touches. Amari Cooper not having an impact on the game. We see CeeDee Lamb with Dak. They're on and off. Dalton Schultz getting whooped in the run game. Also being off. Just nothing is clicking. Nothing is easy. It used to be ease of travel for this offense. Everything looks like they're having to grind out yards. They're having to figure out things each and every single possession, and that's not a good setup for what you're about to play in. But here's what I will say. Based on the season that we've seen, if the Cowboys can get this fixed and can get hot, they can beat anybody on the NFC side.
You know what? It just makes me think that this might be the most schizophrenic team in the NFL, Nick, because on the one hand, you say, hey, they could match anybody for the Super Bowl. On the other hand, they look like a disaster sometimes. What is it with this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's both encouraging and discouraging. What Swagoo is saying is that there's always something different, and that makes you feel like, all right, there's not one big problem that's like taking them down that they can't address. Like, they can do all the things that Swagoo just mentioned. They can do all those things at an elite level. They just need to do it consistently and do it at the same time. So that makes you kind of fearful if you're a team that's facing them, because you're like, man, I hope they don't do that against us. But it also makes you feel fearful if you're rooting for them, because you're like, man, I know if it ain't one thing, it's going to be the other. And that's the problem with this team. They're volatile. And the same is true of their defense. Their defense is so reliant on turnovers and big plays that I'm not sure how good their defense is, which makes them volatile. When they don't have a week where they create a couple turnovers, I'm not sure that they can get the stops that they need. But also, when they do have those weeks where it seems like they can get a sacked fumble anytime they want it, or Trayvon Diggs is going to come down with any ball that's thrown on his third of the field, that is good enough to beat anybody in the NFL. So who knows what to believe with this Cowboys team right now.
You do not know what you're going to get with this team in the playoffs. And Graz, here's the other thing. I wonder about this team in terms of it being elite. And you mentioned something really interesting when we talked earlier in our meeting before the show, the fact that you had talked to scouts about the matchup with Arizona and the kinds of problems it presented for Dak Prescott.
Yeah, a couple people I talked to yesterday, Ryan, said, Arizona does such a good job of disguising on defense pre-snap, and that, Dak Prescott has many strengths, but even at his best, like, diagnosing that was never the top of those strengths. And so the matchup kind of played into a way you can kind of get Dak out of rhythm. And this Cowboys offense definitely has no rhythm right now. I mean, look, I sat there on Sunday and watched the Chiefs play the Bengals, and I was fired. I mean, I was like, forget Jeff Saturday. This is how you play football. They're airing it out. This is why we watch. This is exciting. All that kind of, and then I put the Cowboys on, and I'm like, oh, really? This is like they want to compete with these kinds of teams come playoff time? Offense does not look right. It does not look explosive. It does not look exciting, and there's all kinds of issues there. I agree with Swagoo. There's a lot wrong, and I think it's really hard to pinpoint exactly what it is. That's why you hear some people theorizing about it, but Arizona would be their matchup right now in round one, and that doesn't look like a good one for them.
Yeah, and Jeff, I got to come to you on this. We just put up a really interesting graphic. Ezekiel Elliott has not rushed for more than 60 yards since week 6. Since week 6. Jeff, I know you like the ground and pound.
Oh, gosh.
What does this say about this team?
Well, let me just make sure I lay this all out for all the Cowboys fans really quickly. Dan's talking about how fun football is. Let me just say this. You're not explosive and you're not physical, so you ain't scary. So let's make sure we're real clear on that part, right? Since Dak has been back, they rank 31st in run rate, which means they run the ball 31st in the league. That's how many attempts they have. So you're telling me you're the 7th best run-blocking football team in the NFL, but you run it at the 31st rate. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You're not explosive. I don't know where Amari Cooper's been. We talked about 3 1,000-yard wide receivers at the beginning of the season. Absolute trash. When you think about this football team, everybody got excited because they beat Washington. That's why everybody was fired up. We got it all fixed, man. We beat Washington twice and the Giants one time. We are back in action. You ain't played nobody, you ain't beat nobody since 8 weeks ago. I don't understand how everybody's excited about how this team's going to be scary. I'm going to tell you this. You travel in football by putting that thing in ground and pound. Y'all can make fun of whatever you want. But your boy Dak.
You tried to trick us.
Hey, your cousin
you
Dak.
tried to trick us.
Fox, your boy Dak don't look nearly as good when they ain't leading the league in rushing. I'm just letting you know everything fits together. That thing opens up when you smash through in that run game, and it ain't doing it right now.
Not wrong
You
with
tried to
those
have some
ground and
stats in
pound,
there and
gentlemen.
trick us when we knew you were just coming back to.
He's got one hell of a point there, because for us to be 31st in rushes, and this is Mike McCarthy's MO. He loves the pass. But so you got to have a balance. When the Cowboys offense was clicking and doing things, they were able to run the football, and they were able to actually use the run to help open up the pass and the pass to help open up the run. But right now, we just can't get the running game going. And it's not solely on Zeke Elliott. I know Zeke is not the same guy. Tony Pollard is more explosive. But the holes are not there. I know that they keep saying that it's the 6th best run-blocking offensive line. I don't see that right now. I don't see the holes there. Maybe we'll do some film breakdown and look at some of these plays. But I'm telling you, we've got to do a better job at controlling the clock and being able to put some yards in the running game. So that being said, we got lots of work to do. It's a short week. We got to get ready and hope that this snow, it's going to be kind of cold this week. We got all the snow on the ground. They're calling for another snowstorm, possibly Friday, which is going to make it a little harder to cook the chicken wings because it's under ice right now. But that being said, we'll find a way. I'm Mark Holmes, and as always,
Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.